So for the video, because I forgot to turn it on, this is problem 1 on the review sheet, and I wrote down the green ones, labeled them all with A, B, C to F, and then the red ones, A, B, C, D, and then the blue ones, A and B. And then we want 2 red ones without replacing any chips. So we pick 2, and we want to know what the probability of getting 2 red ones is. And in this case, the probability is the first one is 4 out of 13, and the second one is 3 out of 12, because there's only 12 left. You multiply them together when you do AND. Okay. Hey, Aaron, you were here on Thursday? Oh, you weren't? Oh. Sorry, I thought you were. Just I'm so used to seeing you. I'm going to hand that back to Aaron and this too. Thanks. OK. All right. OK, so that was part A. Part B says, now, the chips go back in, and we'll start over. It says you replace them and draw a single chip. What's the probability the chip is green or with the letter B? Add. You do add, but there's a little trick to this one, too. OK? Let's look at the green ones first. OK, what's the probability that we get a green chip? 7 out of 13. OK, what's the probability that you get one that has the letter B on it? 3 out of 13. So you're going to add those together, 3 out of 13. But what did we do that we have to worry about? We double counted the green B. How many of those are there? 1. So we subtract out the 1 out of 13 chance for the green B. Everybody get that?
That doesn't match the answer.
It doesn't match the answer? 11. Sorry, 9 out of 13 is not what I put?
No, it's 11. You put 11 on the back.
OK, then I did it wrong. Thanks. 11, it's 9 out of 13. Thank you for checking that. 9 out of 13. Why didn't anybody catch me the other night on that? All right.
Probably because we didn't look at the back.
Probably because you didn't look at the back. That's right. OK, any other questions on this problem 1? OK, let's look at question 2. And by the way, the reason we're doing this review sheet is that I took a look at types of questions we didn't have enough practice on and that you might see on the final, and we're going over them. So some of these might be a little trickier. 2 is a pretty standard question, though, right? 4 minus 2 times the quantity 2x plus 5 equals 9x minus 5 minus 2x. OK. Right off the bat, what can I do to this side? Distribute. Rob, are you with us? Are you pressing this one? OK. Distribute the 2 through. But it's actually not just the 2. It's distribute the negative 2 through. You've got to be really careful with that. 4 minus 4x minus 10, because I distributed negative 2 times 2x is negative 4x, and negative 2 times 5 is negative 10. OK. Can I do anything to the other side? I can combine the 9x and the 2x. That gives us 9x minus 2x. I should say combine the 9x and the minus 2x. 7x minus 5. OK. Can I combine anything else on this side? The 4 and the negative 10, which is negative 6. Negative 6 minus 4x equals 7x minus 5. What do we do next? It's completely up to you. Add 5 to both sides. That sounds good, because we're going to get the 5 this side to this side. OK. That means we're going to be left with negative 1 minus 4x equals 7x. Now what? Add 4x to both sides? Sure. Plus 4x. That gives us negative 1 equals 11x. And then what do we do? Divide by 11. And we get x equals negative 1/11. Good. Better. OK. Any questions on the algebra problem? Straight up algebra problem is that one. You just got to do it one step at a time, right? OK. All right. OK. Number 3. Solve for x. 6x squared minus 5x equals 1. OK. So this one is a little different than some of the others we're going to do. But is this one, because it's a quadratic, we're going to try to do what to it?
Make it equal to 0.
Well, we're going to try to make it equal to 0 because eventually we're going to do what? Factor. OK? Good. So to get this equal to 0, what do I do to this? Subtract 1 from both sides. And I get 6x squared minus 5x minus 1 equals 0. OK. This took us a little while to figure out the other day when we were doing this on Thursday. To factor this, now, you can do two things. You can either factor this, or you can use the quadratic equation. It doesn't matter to me. You'll get the same answer if you do them right. To factor this, it's a little trickier than the factors that we did before. Luckily, this one isn't that much more difficult. We definitely need to do this one kind of backwards, because the 6 is over here. It's not just x squared. It's 6x squared. So you have to do this one a little bit backwards. OK? What I would suggest doing is starting with a negative 1. What times what equals negative 1? 1 times negative 1. Is there anything else that equals negative 1? No. So I would just put a negative 1 and a 1. OK? Now, we're going to have to put some x term in here and some x term in here. When you multiply the x term here and the x term here, what does it have to equal? It has to equal 6x squared, right? Well, what values equal 6 when you multiply them together? 6 and 1, I heard. And I also heard 2 and 3. There are also other choices, too. There's negative 6 and negative 1 and negative 2 and negative 3. But save those for later. Maybe we won't have to use them. OK? We could, but maybe we won't have to. OK. Is there, well, let's start with the 6 and 1. Let's just say 6x and x. Does this work out? 6x, do the FOIL to check it. 6x squared. The outer term is going to be 6x plus 6x. The inside term is going to be negative 1x. And the last term is going to be negative 1. 6x squared plus 5x minus 1. Did we get it right? We did not. OK. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to try the same combinations on the other side. OK? So we have to try the same combination. So this didn't work. Let's try the same combination on the other side. Let's say the x goes here and the 6x goes here. X minus 1 and 6x plus 1. 6x squared, so far so good. Outer is plus x. Inner, minus 6x. And final, minus 1. 6x squared minus 5x minus 1. Did we get it right? We did this time. So that was kind of a guess and check sort of thing. And that's fine. You can do it that way. You could also say, well, what if maybe the other one will work too? Maybe the 2 and the 3. Problem is going to be the 2 and the 3 would work if this was a negative, not a negative, negative 1. But let's try it. 2x and 3x. 6x squared outside plus 2x inside minus 3x and last minus 1. What's 2x minus 3x? Is that negative 5x? No, so that doesn't work. If you try the opposite one, 3x and 2x, OK, you would get 6x squared. You would get outer plus 3x and inner minus 2x. Same thing, 3x minus 2x, not negative 5x. OK, so that one doesn't work. So we know those two don't work. We could, because we already got it, we could try these ones. Believe it or not, one of these will actually work as well, right? It'll actually work the same. It'll actually, I think the negative 6 and the negative 1 also works in a certain combination. But we don't need to worry about it. If this one works, then we're good to go. OK? Any questions on that? OK. All right. It is a little tricky to do these ones where it's not our standard x form, but you can do it. Oh, sorry, I didn't even finish the problem. So what we end up with is 6x plus 1 and x. We had x minus 1 times 6x plus 1. I think that's what we had. Equals 0. So we still haven't solved for x yet. We factored it, but we still haven't solved for x. What do you do for these ones to solve for x? Sorry? Plug them into where? No, you just factored it. OK, this is really important. You do one at a time because you set this one equal to 0. And then you set this one equal to 0. And then you solve for x. You do both. X minus 1 equals 0. Add 1 to both sides, you get x equals 1. There's one answer. This one, 6x plus 1 equals 0. 6x plus 1 equals 0. 6x, subtract 1 from both sides, equals negative 1. Divide both sides by 6, and you get x equals negative 1/6. Okay? That's how you do that one. Now, you can plug those into the original and check to see it works. And you should get the left side equals the right side. Should work fine. OK? All right. Any other questions on that problem? 3. OK, number 4. Mean, median, mode, standard deviation, all that stuff. OK? This one, I'll give you a hint on this one. This question is worth 5 points, but it is a long one. So this might be one of the ones that you want to do at the end. So parts 1, 2, 3 are actually really easy. Part 4, or D, takes you a little longer. OK? Actually, D is worth 2 points, but OK. So you have the following numbers: 2, 4, 8, 3, 5, 8, and 12. How many of them are there? 7 numbers. OK, you're going to use that maybe a little later. OK. I would do what first? What would you do first to this? Reorder them, just so they go in increasing order. 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 8, 12. Did I get them all? I think so. OK. Now, to find the mean, we know how to find the mean, right? We add them all up, and then we divide by 7. So 2 plus 3 is 5. 5 plus 4 is 9. 9 plus 5 is 14. 14 plus 8 is 22. 22 plus 8 is 30. 30 plus 12 is 42. 42 divided by 7 means that the average is 6. OK, so there's your mean. Done. The mode is which one? Now, it asks it in which order, the wrong order, right? Not the order we normally think of it in. We normally go mean, median, mode. What's the mode? The one that happens most often, which is, in this case, 8. So part B is 8. A is that. And then finally, the median. And the median is the one in the middle, or if there's 2 in the middle, then you average them, right? In this case, there's only 1 in the middle. It happens to be 5. OK, good? All right. Now, the standard deviation. There is a formula on your formula sheet that says standard deviation equals the square root of the sum of x minus x squared, or sorry, x minus x bar, x, the average, squared, divided by n minus 1. And so now is when you put the chart together and you start doing the chart. And you say, OK, I'm going to have x. And then I'm going to write down all my x values. 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 8, and 12. 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, and 12. OK, and then the first thing I do is I subtract away the mean. So 2 minus 6 is negative 4. 3 minus 6 is negative 3. 4 minus 6 is negative 2. 5 minus 6 is negative 1. 8 minus 6 is 2. 8 minus 6 is 2. 12 minus 6 is 6. And I'm just reading off the formula. Oh, look, I have to do that subtraction first of all the different values. Then what do I have to do? Square them all. So I want another column here of x minus x bar squared. Negative 4 squared, 16. Negative 3 squared, 9. 4, 1, 4, 4, and 36. That little symbol means add them all up. So we add them all up. We add all these up, and we get, let me see. I have it here somewhere. 74?
74.
All right, 74. And now we can start plugging into here. We can say that the standard deviation equals the square root of 74 divided by n minus 1. 7 minus 1, because there's 7 total ones here. 7 minus 1 is 6. When you do that on your calculator, you get 3.51. That's the standard deviation. And if you get a number that's, let's say you got a number of like 38, that would not make sense for these numbers, because the standard deviation is kind of the spread from the average spread from the middle number. And so if there are no numbers, if our middle number is 6, well, the average spread, 3.51, that makes sense, because it's only 1 to here, and it's 2 to here, but 2 to here, and then it's 6 to here. So the average spread is only about 3.5. Okay, so if you get numbers that are crazy, you can kind of figure out that you're going in the wrong direction. Questions on that one? I might leave the standard deviation one to last if there is one, just because it takes a little longer. You don't have to, but I might leave it till the end if it were me. OK, next. All right. The next question says, you have a line, y equals negative 4x plus 1. Y equals negative 4x plus 1. OK, and it says, find the slope, find the y-intercept, find the x-intercept, and graph. OK. What's really nice about this one in particular, what form is it already in? Y equals mx plus b. So you can read off the slope, negative 4. You can also read off the y-intercept, we call b, 1. You can't read off the x-intercept, but the x-intercept happens where? Tony, where's the x-intercept happen?
Where the line touches
where the line touches the?
I say 0.
OK, the x-axis. Y equals 0.
Yes.
Right? OK, so we know y equals 0. So we say, OK, 0 equals negative 4x plus 1. And now we just solve for x. Add 4x to both sides. And you get 4x equals 1. Divide by 4. And you get x equals 1/4. There's your x-intercept. OK? Graphing it is just a matter of using the data you already have. And you're graphing here. And try to remember to label your points. 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4. Try to be a little easier, a little neater than me. OK? And on here, you can put in the y-intercept. It's at 1. Just plug it right there. You could also put in the x-intercept, which is 1/4 if you want. And then you draw a line between those, and you're done. I'm happy if you do that. Or you can say, OK, the slope is negative 4, which means negative 4 over 1, which means I go down 4 and to the right 1. So if I start right there, 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. And then you're going to get a line that goes through all 3 of those points. You're done. Probably might want to put arrows on both, because it's a line that goes on forever. But otherwise, you're done. You good? We good on that one, Andrew? OK, practice this one. If you don't have any, if you still have questions about it, that's cool. OK. All right. Now we get into some probability ones. These ones tend to confuse some people, too. All right. Let me quickly draw the little chart here. We've got cats and dogs, and we've got Army, Navy, Marine Corps, and Air Force. And we've got 15, 17, 18, 20, 12, 15, and 13, 13. Amy, do you have a cat or a dog?
A dog.
A dog, OK.
2 dogs.
2 dogs. Uh-oh, I didn't count 2 dogs in this. OK, so now, with these probability questions, I always say add up across, and then add up down as well. OK, you might as well. This is 32, this is 38, this is 27, and this is 26. When you add them all together, you get 123. this way, the cats, you add up the cats and you get 58, and then dogs is 65. And if you add those up, you also get 123. A good way to check your answers. OK? All right. And then, now you answer the questions. And it says, what is the probability if you, what did I say on here? If you mine's a little different. If you randomly, if one military member with a pet is chosen at random, what's the probability the pet owned by a military member is a dog? 65 out of how many? 123. You're done. Because there's 65 dogs, and the total number of service members we're talking about is 123. Good. B. OK. In the Navy or owns a dog. Sorry, yeah, that's it, right? Military member is in the Navy or owns a dog. Or is add. OK? So in the Navy is how many? In the Navy is 38. Out of how many? 123. OK. How many dogs are there? 60. Is it dogs or cats?
Dogs.
It is dogs. 65 out of 123. But what did we do? We double counted the Navy dogs. Right? So minus 20 out of 123. We good on that one now? OK. All right. What about C, military member owns a cat and is in the Marine Corps? Now, this is different than given that they're in the Marine Corps. But what is the probability that they own a cat and they're in the Marine Corps? Well, let's see. Cats in the Marine Corps are what? There's 12 of them out of how many? 123. That's it. 12 out of 123. Okay, because you pick the person, they are a cat, they are a cat and in the Marine Corps. Okay. Yeah. What? There you go. All right. And then finally, now it says, what about if the person is in the Air Force given that the person owns a cat? So you pick it out and you know the person owns a cat by the fact that you picked it and you said, OK, the person owns a cat. What's the probability that it's in the Air Force? Well, do we need to worry about the dogs at all? No. So we need to go cats in the Air Force. That's 13 out of how many? 58, because that's how many cats there are. Forget about the dogs. 13 out of 58. OK? All right. Let's do this. Let's take a break. 7 already. OK? Let's take a break. We'll come back and finish this up after. In fact, we'll finish them all up after the break. All right. So here's the question. It says, here's the formula for wet bulb globe temperature. And I looked it up on Wikipedia, so it's right. OK, and it says, if W equals 95, temperature G, globe thermometer temperature, is 115, and the dry bulb temperature is 90, what is the wet bulb temperature? OK, that's this one. All right. So how are you going to solve this? Yeah, you could either do the algebra first, or you could just plug in what you know to get rid of some of this stuff. Right? So it's going to be 95 equals, we've got to leave this one because we don't know this yet, 7/10 TW plus 1/5 of 115 plus 1/10 of 90. Okay? And then you can start simplifying this with the actual numbers, right? So you can say 95 equals, got to leave this, 7/10 TW plus 115 divided by 5 is 23, and 1/10 of 90 is 9. OK? And then you can add those two. 95 equals 7/10 TW plus 32. And then let's subtract 32 from both sides. And we get 363 equals 7/10 of TW. And this is where a lot of people go, I don't know what to do now. You could divide by 7/10 or multiply by the reciprocal of this. Multiply by 10/7. Because if you did that, the 10s go away and the 7s go away. So you can multiply this side by 10/7. That. And that makes it a little bit easier. Because this becomes just TW. And this becomes 63 times 10, 630 divided by 7. Or you could cancel in the middle if you wanted to. But 630 divided by 7 happens to be 90. 90 equals temperature of the wet bulb. OK? What flag is that? 90? Is 90 or above black? I thought 90 was, I thought it was 95. It is 90. I think you're right. 90, yeah. All right. Whew. A lot of algebra right there. Questions on how to do that? Plug in what you know and then go with it. And do the algebra. All right. OK. All right. So this one, are we on to number 8? Number 8. OK. You're a DoD civilian. You buy a new computer on Amazon. $634 plus 5.5% tax. Then you run out of money because our senators and representatives don't know how to run the country. And you have to sell it for $500 on Craigslist. And then you have to get it to the guy who wants to buy it. You have to pay a $3 toll. OK. All right. Well, 634. How do you calculate the tax? Multiply by 0.055, because that's 55 or 5.5%, right? And that gives you $34.87 tax. So how much do you pay? Well, you pay 634 plus 34.87 gives you, what's that? 0.055. Ah. OK, and you get 8, and you get $668.87. That's how much you paid. And that's the first part of this. The second part is how much did you sell it for? Well, you sold it for $500, right? And you also said, you basically said it was really $503. It cost you $503, right? So you have to subtract out the whole $503 to get what you, how much you actually paid, or how much you lost on the deal. Okay? So you lost 668 minus 503 is $165.87. That's how much you lost. That was what the question was, right? How much money did you lose on the purchase? Okay. All right, questions on that one? Not too, I think it was pretty straightforward. OK, the next question, number 9. Government's still shut down. You want to play poker. Face cards in poker. You want to know if you can get 5 face cards on a deal. And you're going to get 5 cards. How many face cards are in the deck? Face cards are jacks, queens, kings, and we'll also count aces. Face cards or aces. Jacks, queens, kings, and aces. So there's 4 in each suit, and there's 4 suits. So there's 16 of them. So on the first deal, like the first card that comes to you, you've got what chance of picking a face card or an ace?
If he deals me one, I got 15 others, right?
No, you got to think of, you're thinking of it kind of backwards. There you go. 16 out of the 52 cards is what your probability of getting that first face card. Now you've got a face card. The second face card, well, how many cards are left? 51. And how many do you get? Or how many choices for you? There's only 15 out of those. And then there's 14 out of 50. And then 13 out of 49. And then finally 12 out of 48. And we've got 5 cards. If you multiply 16 times 15 times 14 times 13 times 12, and you divide by 52 times 51 times 50 times 49 times 48, you actually are left with 0.00168. 0.00168 probability. Not very good chance. 0.01 is 1 out of 100. So this is 168 out of 1,000 times you'll get 5. Did I say that right?
1.68.
You're right. 1.68 out of 1,000 times. You're right. So basically 1 out of 1,000 times. Yeah, I said it wrong. 1.68 times out of 1,000, you will get your 5 face cards. So it turns out you lose at poker. There is a chance. What does the lottery say? You can't win if you don't play? Silly. OK. All right, so that one wasn't too bad. OK, now you lose miserably at poker. You borrow $3,500 from a loan shark. OK, $3,500 from a loan shark. And he says, in 3 months, you owe me $4,100. And you say, well, that's not too bad. OK, $4,100, 3 months. But if you want to know your yearly interest rate, we've got a couple formulas we could use. What's the 3,500 called? The principal. What's the 4,100 called? You have to pay it in the future, so it's called the future value. A is what we use for future value. Okay? The 3 months is what? It's the time, but it's not in the right form yet. It's got to be in years to find a yearly interest rate. So it's going to be 3/12, or 1/4 of a year. OK, and that equals your time. OK, so we've got a couple formulas we can use. We figured out the other night that there's the easy one, and then there's a slightly harder one. You've got the formula that relates the future value to the principal, which is what? Future value equals, it's on your formula sheet, right? Future value for simple interest. A equals P times 1 plus RT. P times 1 plus RT, right? I don't think there's another one in there. No. Now, you could also, now, what are we looking for here? We're looking for the rate. Okay? If you plug in 4,100 here and 3,500 here and the time of 1/4 here, you can do the algebra to figure that out. It's a little tricky, though. There's a little bit of algebra to figure it out. There's another formula on there that talks about the actual interest. Which one is that? That's actually an easier formula. What is your interest from 4,100 to 3,500? How much interest do you pay? 600, because 4,100 minus 3,500 is $600 in interest. So you could use this formula. $600 equals the principal of $3,500 times the rate, which we don't know, times 1/4 for the years. That's actually a little easier. If you divide 600 by 3,500, and then you get 600 divided by 3,500. I don't know my calculator here. 600 divided by 3,500 is 0.171428, etc. equals 1/4 of R. Same thing as before. To get rid of the 1/4, what do you multiply by? 4 over 1, or just 4. 4 and 4 times 4 equals 0.686 equals the rate, which means that your yearly interest rate is 68.6% is your rate. Definitely a loan shark. Okay? That, I think, is the easier way to do it. You could do it this way, and it's really just a little bit more algebra, but it still will come out with 68.6%. Okay? By the way, if I distribute the p through here, this is p plus PRT. If I subtract p from both sides, it's a minus p equals PRT. Well, guess what? What's a minus p? A minus p is what?
600.
It's the interest. So that's why this formula, interest equals PRT, is the same as this. See how those are the same and we just kind of derived it? Yeah, works out that way. Questions on that one? OK, let's look at 11. All right, now this is one that's kind of like what I was showing you on the computer earlier. Okay. Yeah, you're still worried about the government shutdown. So you're doing well in class. Now, think about this. This says you have 3 tests. There's a third test or a fourth test. And what do you want to know to pass the class? To get some grade of, in this case, What score do you have to get to pass the course? Why did I say 80? Why is it 80?
You want to get a B.
No, you want to get a... Did I say that in here? Oh, you know what? I wrote it wrong. I'm looking at my old one. Yeah, sorry, I'm looking at my old one. You want to get a B. OK. Let's say I knew all four of my grades. 3 of the grades are 92, 88, 70, and some other one that I don't know. Let's say it was 50. What would I do to find my average? Add it all together and divide by 4. And that would give me some value here. But we are given this value, and we say that we really want an 80. And in fact, technically, we should say it's going to be greater than or equal to 80, technically, because you want to know what grade you have to get to be better than a B. But we don't know this last score. Isn't this just an algebra problem to solve for x? Right? It's just an algebra problem to solve for x. 92 plus 88 plus 70 plus x divided by 4 gives you greater than or equal to 80. So if you do that, if you add all these up, you end up with 250 plus x divided by 4 equals, or is greater than or equal to, 80. Right? Multiply both sides by 4. You get 250 plus x is greater than or equal to 320, because I multiplied by 4. Do I need to flip this? No, because it's not multiplying by negative 4. Okay. And then subtract 250 from both sides, and you get x is greater than or equal to 70. See how that works? It's exactly what I did for that little computer, or that little script on the computer. Did you get 68? I think it's 250. Lots of yawning in here. It's all right. OK. All right, questions on this one? OK, good. All right, getting there. All right, the one that people seem to hate the most. Given a function f of x, which we say is just y, just so you remember that, f of x equals x squared plus 5x plus 6. OK, find the vertex. How do we find the vertex? Negative b over 2a for the x value. Negative b over 2a. Is it in the right form? It is. What's b? 5. Negative 5 divided by 2 times 1. Aaron, what was that? Oh. How about negative 5 over 2? Or negative 2.5? But you're not done yet. You also have to find the y value. To find the y value, you plug in the value that we got there, negative 2.5. So you get negative 2.5 squared plus 5 times negative 2.5 plus 6. When you do that on your calculator, you end up with negative 0.25. So your answer for the vertex is negative 2.5, negative 0.25. Right? OK. All right. Then it says find the x-intercepts. Well, we know the x-intercepts on a parabola, there's 2 of them. So we know we're going to have to factor here somewhere. And that's where y equals 0, because the x-intercepts are always when y equals 0. Well, look, make it equal to 0. You get 0 equals x squared plus 5x plus 6. And this is exactly what we did before with a different quadratic. You factor it. This one's actually an easier one. Put the x's in there. And then you say, well, 6 has 6 and 1, or 3 and 2. 6 and 1, if you're going to add them, is not going to work. 3 and 2 has got to be the right answer. Plus 3 plus 2. Set both of those equal to 0. 0 equals x plus 3, and 0 equals x plus 2. And you get x equals negative 3, and x equals negative 2. to find the y-intercept, set x equal to 0. And this is an easy one. Y equals 0 squared plus 5 times 0 plus 6 gives you 6. Y-intercept is 6. Easy. And then it says to graph it. And the graphing, you've got in total, you've got enough points now to graph it. OK? All right, you have the vertex. That means at negative 2.5, negative 0.25. 1, 2, 3. Negative 2.5, 1, 2. Negative 0.25. It's right there. And then you put in the x-intercepts at negative 3 and negative 2. 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2. And by the way, they should be an equidistant away from the vertex, because it's going to be symmetrical. And then you can put in the y-intercept if you want, which is 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then you just connect all the points in a nice parabola, like this. I don't know if I'm going to get it right, but there we go. All right. Think you could do that tomorrow? Why not?
Yes.
Yes, you could. You got to do all those steps.
Did you start making this test like before the government shut down and then finish making it after?
No, it was all in one
The
day.
last few questions are all about.
I did make it before, but before I knew the rotator was in trouble, I did make it up. So, because we have a civilian in our office, and she's pretty pissed off about the whole government shutdown thing. She doesn't like it.
Oh, she's not getting paid.
She actually is. She actually does have a waiver, but she knows a lot of people who aren't. And she had to go through it before. She doesn't like it.
Yeah, civilians here should probably get paid.
Civilians here are getting paid, as far as I know. OK, number 13. Stupidity among congressmen and congresswomen can be modeled by the following function, which I made up. S of x equals 12 plus e raised to the 0.0188x, where x is the number of years after 1776. Years after 1776. You get it? It should probably be 1789. You know what? You might have been right about 1787. I think 1789 was the first Congress. So maybe 1787 was the French Revolution. I owe you a York peppermint patty. Okay.
That's right, man. We have to beg them on.
That's right. OK. Years after 17. OK. And then it says, find the stupidity. How stupid are members of Congress in 2013? Well, what's x going to be? 2013 minus 1776. 237. You plug it in. 12 plus e raised to the 0.0188 times 237. And remember, this is basically in parentheses here. Most of your the silvery calculators don't put the parentheses for you. The other blue ones do put the parentheses. Just don't forget to do that.
So do we need to put the...
You do have to put the parentheses in there. And what'd you end up getting? I don't think so.
Yeah, 98.1.
Oh my god.
It's 90. Everybody, all right, look. Everybody do this on your calculator right now. All right. 12 plus E, which is generally second in ln. Mine puts a parentheses, but your calculator may not. If it doesn't put a parentheses, put one, an open parentheses.
It's square root. Well, not square root, but the exponent thing.
Nope, you do not have to hit that. It puts it in there for you. Even though it doesn't say it, it's in there.
0.0.
So parentheses, 0.0188 times 237.
So we got to put the times in there.
You got to put the times in. end parentheses, equals. And I got today's senators are 98.1 out of 100 stupid. Okay? 98.1. All right. Pop quiz, hot shot. In 1776, how stupid were congressmen? Nope. Not one, nope. 12. Why? What year is 1776? From 1776? 0. What is e raised to the 0? 1. So it is not 12. I lied. It's 13. Yep, 13.
I see it. Is that a bonus question on the exam?
There's not going to be a bonus, unfortunately. It's a standard final. No bonus allowed. I know. What about the? Did we ever go over that question?
No, but
It takes 3 minutes. It takes 3 minutes. I know you kept asking about that. Look, if all, okay, look. There's 15 of us in here, right? It takes 15 monkeys 3 minutes to eat 15 bananas. How long does it take one monkey to eat one banana?
I don't know. You can go a lot of ways with that one.
15 monkeys, and it takes 3 minutes to eat 15 bananas.
And you take one monkey away,
You take all the monkeys away except one.
except for one.
He's got his own banana,
Still take the same amount.
which is 3 minutes.
Oh, I don't know.
Now,
That question was worded weird to me.
the question was worded weird. Well, it's like a riddle.
too smart.
You were overthinking it.
Here, we're down here, we're like,
I didn't.
You're just overthinking it. Overthinking it. All right. All right. The next question. All right. This one actually, we worked on this one on Thursday, and Dwan and Tony had a really good way of solving this kind of in their heads, which is actually pretty good. But I'd like you to be able to do it using just the algebra. But if you can do something like this in your head, that's fine. Just don't screw it up. If you do something like that on the test tomorrow, let's say there's a similar question, if you do it in your head, I don't care. Just check your answer to make sure it's right.
All right.
Because I can't give you any partial credit if you just write the answer down, right? OK, you go to Green Bean to buy coffee and 2 muffins. Because of the government shutdown, your credit card got canceled, and you didn't have enough cash or pogs. People who aren't at Djibouti watching this video on YouTube are going to be like, what is he talking about? Anyway,
People outside this that are going to be watching this video.
who knows? It's on YouTube. Anybody could watch it. Maybe I'm teaching some, child in Thailand math, right? You never know. All right.
2-year-old.
Yeah, maybe. All right. So you didn't have enough money. You paid all you had, and you still owed $3.10. OK. All right. You ready? So you are paying. Let's see. You paid all you had. It's sorry. Did I write it wrong? I must have written it wrong here. Hang on. I'm looking at the wrong one again. Did the answer key before. Here we go. OK. You paid all you had, which was $6. OK. So you paid $6, and you still owed $3.10, which means that's how much it cost, right? $9.10. And that was for, let's see, coffee and 2 muffins. A coffee plus 2 muffins, like that. Okay. And then it says if 1 coffee and 1 muffin cost $6.30, coffee and a muffin is $6.30, how much does just a muffin cost? And how much does a coffee cost? Okay. All right. Let me just immediately just change this into $9.10. That part you have to kind of figure out, but $9.10. Now, let me see if I get this right, Dwan, unless you want to explain it again. All right. Dwan the other day said, if I take a coffee and 2 muffins, and I subtract a coffee and a muffin, what am I left with? How much money a muffin costs, right? So if I subtract these, if I subtract this one from this one, I get a muffin left over, and I get 9.10, so I get $2.80. That's actually really clever. So good job thinking of that. What I might have done not thinking it through quite correctly, but I mean thinking it through kind of algebraically, was saying, let's just multiply this by -1, this one and this one and this one, and then add it to this one, and that will get rid of the coffees. It's exactly the same thing.
It is just way more complicated.
But Dwan just said, I got it. He thought it through, right? It's not way more complicated. It's just, I mean, it's the same complication, really. It's just doing it out, so that you get each little term, right? -1 times this is -c, -m, -630. Add them all together. You're really taking this and subtracting this. Cool. All right. Once you know how much a muffin's worth, well, you know that a coffee plus a muffin equals 630. Just substitute the amount for a muffin in for where m is. Subtract both sides, and you get that a coffee equals 630 minus 280, which is what? Coffee, let's see, 0, 13 minus 8 is 5. There you go, $3.50. Tree fitty.
There it is.
Like South Park. Where's my tree fitty? OK. All right, the Loch Ness Monster, right? Yeah. OK. So yeah, so if you can think it through like that in your head, great. But don't just write the answer down without checking it. We totally should check it. How do we check this? We do both. We plug in 350 plus 2 times 280, and hopefully you get $9.10. 350 plus 0.6560 equals, how about $9.10? Right? $9.10 equals $9, not D, $9.10. Check. Okay? And then you should also plug it into the other one, too. You should say a coffee plus a muffin, 350 plus 280 should equal 630, which it does. 630 equals 630. OK? Always check your answers. OK. All right. So that's the practice quiz, or practice for the final. I will stop talking now and let you guys either ask me more questions individually or take off. For what it's worth, I had a lot of fun in here with you guys. I think you guys tried pretty hard in here. I know people, some of you guys are on the gate all the time, and some of you guys are working late hours at your own job. So I think it's good. I did one time, and you weren't there. I stopped by. All right. I will answer any questions.